as the day progresses.
No.
So, okay, we are live. And as always, I just want to do a quick introduction to the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hindsight 2020, a musical retrospective, a show where we talk about albums that we think are culturally or musically significant, and we go track by track to try to figure out why that is. As always, I am your host, Franny Flortano, Laredo's busiest music nerd. Just kidding, it's just me, Franny. You might notice someone's missing here today. My co-host, Arnold, recently became an optometrist, and he is on call for a residency. So he decided to not be on the stream because he might just be called to save somebody's eyesight at any moment. So he's out there being a hero, and I am here in my underwear. So, yeah, that's why he's not here. But we do have a recurring guest, friend of the podcast, comedian, podcaster, radio host, rameneer, and now burgeoning electronic music artist. Give it up for Raymond Cabrera. Raymond, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah, I wish I had a sample that I would wait. Let me do a sample real quick.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Oh wait, I already have one.
Oh,
here we
even
go.
better. All right, let's hear it.
Hear it? I don't know. This is my little thing that I use.
Beautiful. So, we're supposed to have a panel, but a reoccurring guest who's supposed to be my co-host, my temporary co-host today was unable to, she was having technical difficulties, couldn't sign on. If she does end up, getting over those hurdles, we'll definitely add her. That is Victoria Craddock. But right now it's just me and Raymond. I think this is our first two-person panel, our first two-person cast. So we're here. We were talking about this, trying to hype ourselves up. We are, we are Maverick and goosing it out here.
Yeah.
First time flying, not solo, but first time flying duo. We are Hall & Oatesing it, Simon and Garfunkeling it. We're just we're going right for it. Just two of us for now, at least. And the record that we're going to be talking about is actually a record that we have already discussed to some degree together. We are talking about Joy as an Act of Resistance by IDLES. IDLES is a British punk, post-punk, noise rock band. This album was released in 2018, and it was possibly one of my favorite albums of that year. I think both Raymond and I could agree that this album is it's an amazing record. It's also an important record, lyrically, music-wise. It is a very a timeless record. I believe a lot of the messaging on this album is still very much relevant now as it was back in 2018. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that makes it so influential, and it's the same thing with just oi punk in general. Not that this is necessarily an oi punk album, but it does get a lot of references from oi punk. But it's very politically charged, and even like if you go back and listen to like the Coxbars and other oi punk bands back then, like the message that they put into their music is just as relevant as it is now, especially even more relevant in 2020 with the current like political climate of fighting fascism and so on and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. The heavy political messaging of this album, almost political sloganeering that you get in some of the songs here and there. Who knew how much more? What's the word I'm looking for? How much more relevant that would become as the years progress? we're in the thick of it right now, in this nation. I believe Britain too, because of the whole Brexit thing. I think everybody's kind of going through like um, this kind of like a fight against just this wave of like fascism. And
Yeah.
I feel like this album is such a perfect rallying cry for everybody who's on the right side of that fight. And let's get into why. So let's start talking about the record. As always, though, let's go. Opening thoughts is kind of where you are on the record now before you hear potentially different point of view. I think we agree on a lot of things about this record, but who knows? There's might be a couple things where we may have different opinions. So right now,
Yeah.
how do you feel about the album right now? Where's your head at in regards to Joy as an Act of Resistance?
I mean, I love this album. Like I said, it's one of my favorite albums, especially in the year it came out, 2018. Um, I think the only parts that I don't like about the album are the slower songs, um, minus Colossus, which starts out as a slow song but eventually picks up. Um, but I just never really found IDLES whenever they're doing like slow stuff that I don't want to say bad because the songs aren't necessarily bad,
Uh-huh.
but they're not as good as their more upfront, in your face type songs. Um, and that goes the same thing for Brutalism. Whenever
Yeah.
there was only one song that was slow, and everything else was just a upfront, in your face banger. Um, but yeah, I believe there's only one track on here too, but um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's such a in your face album, and I think it's like pretty much a near perfect experience.
Okay, yeah. So I would say I agree for the most part with your assessment of it. It is an amazing record. It is very in your face. I do believe that where we differ is I do like. I think I know the song in reference because that is like the one that stands out as the slow song on the record. Even though I think there might be another, I'm not sure. But
Yeah,
I actually I love that track. If it is the one I'm thinking about, I absolutely love it. It's a highlight for me. But we'll get to that when we get there.
yeah.
Let's get into the intro track of the record. I didn't realize I'm the one that's going to type these out. So uh, give me a second. Normally, Arnold's in the driver's seat when it comes to this one. So let's get into it. The intro track, Colossus. Let's get into Colossus. So, Raymond, what are your thoughts on the opening track of the record? How do you feel about Colossus?
I think it is a really good starter. Um, One of the things I do have to complain is I feel like the drum sequence in the beginning goes a little too long, um, as a build up. But overall, I think it's just so great how it just all you have is like the really heavy drums going do 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 do.
Yeah, it is super. It's very ominous. A very ominous drum beat.
Yeah, and then it just builds up to like this perfect climax, and I think it's a good starter to the album. Not really in any complaints other than, like I said, I think the drum goes on a little bit too long in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, but other than that, it's just such a heavy track. Um, and the percussion is so good in this song.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, I don't know. It's a good track.
I I'm of two minds about it. I do think. I mean, I love it. You know what? When I first started hearing the record, this was an exercise in patience for me because I for the longest time, I didn't realize that the two halves of this song are one song. So I would just try to skip to the faster part, and I would end up at the second track of the album. So my my first couple of listens, I would skip this song. But once I finally decided, like, no, I'm gonna sit down and listen to it all the way through, it became, like very, very clear just how great this song actually is. I love how the music of the two halves reflects the lyricism of the two halves. The first half of the song is very slow burning, very cavernous, kind of very esoteric in a sense. And the lyrics match that. Like the lyrics are kind of abstract, kind of, it's very clear, like vocally it's very clear, but maybe the messaging is a little muddled, is a little lost. And then you
Yeah.
get to the second half of the song that's like super fast and aggressive and in your face and punk as fuck.
Yeah.
And the lyrics reflect that. Like they get so much more like direct. And can we take a minute to appreciate just the lyricism on the second half of this song?
I love this track because it has one of my favorite lines, and it's I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I put homophobes in coffins.
Yes, I love that line.
That is,
As soon as I heard that line at the beginning as soon as I heard that line, I was like, dude, fuck yes. And then the wrestling references continued throughout.
yeah,
I personally love the I'm like Ted DiBiase. I win no matter what it costs me because
yeah,
love the $1 Million Man. And then closing it out with I'm like Evil Knievel. I break bones for my people. It's just so clever,
yeah,
so clever, so witty. Um, I heard that and I was, this is going to be a great start to this record. And this was actually my introduction to IDLES. I listened to this album after I watched the Fantano review of it. So I heard this before I heard Brutalism.
yeah.
So hearing these lyrics just right off the bat, and yeah, the reference to Stone Cold. I don't know if you remember this, but we made a pact to get matching tattoos with that quote. So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
you're still down because I'm still fucking
I'm
down.
down.
Hell yeah. To our two viewers, you heard it here. Raymond and I are going to get matching tattoos of the quote, I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I put homophobes in coffins.
Yeah.
And I, I couldn't be any more excited. So
Yeah.
let's get into the second track. Let's talk about, or do you have anything else to add about Colossus? Anything else you'd like to add? Any other
No.
that you like about the lyrics here?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Dope. Okay, so let's move on to second song of this album. This was actually the first song I heard from these guys, so I'm excited to revisit it in the form of a podcast. This is, and I'm typing it out as I go along. Never fight a man with a perm. A phrase I'm still not entirely sure I understand, but
Yeah.
the music behind it is just so fucking amazing that I don't mind. I don't mind not knowing what this is about. But let's get into it. Never fight a man with a perm. What are your thoughts? What do you feel when you hear this track?
My favorite thing is the guitars, in all honesty. Um
It's the guitars are so chaotic in this track. It's
yeah,
really cool.
they're so chaotic, and yeah, this is what I meant by, like, I don't know. I can't think of anything that's probably faster paced in this album. There might be one other track, but this is where I feel like IDLES is in their best, because this is such like a fast paced, in your face song. Um and this is also going back to, like, talking about the lyrics. Like, the lyrics are so good. Was it a heathen from Eden on the bag of Michael Keaton?
Yeah, the references on this song are off the fucking chain.
Yeah.
I love the repurposing of Nancy Sinatra's these boots.
Oh
These boots
yeah.
for stomping. Fucking
Yeah.
love it. Fucking love it. Yeah, the lyricism. I love the. I love the just the rhythm section of this song gives it such a heavy feeling. Uh, kind of contrasting just how noodly and chaotic the guitar is, and then you have such a tight rhythm section makes for such an interesting clash of sounds, and it's just so great.
Yeah.
And the lyricism just kind of taking down the idea of like meatheads and just kind of taking dead aim at them and just fucking coming at them so hard. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
I love the you're not a man, you're a gland, you're a big neck with sausage hands. Like that's
Yeah.
it. That line is so dope, but at the same time so painfully British. Like that sounds like such a British
Yeah.
insult, and it works so well. Sorry, I kind of hijacked your moment to talk about it. This is the first time we're doing a duo episode, so my bad.
Oh no,
Anyway,
it's totally cool.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, you pretty much said like what I was gonna say. Like, it's just like the lyricism's so good and the guitars like kill it, and like I said before, it's just such a good fast-paced song. And like I said, I think it's one of the fastest songs on the album, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
But yeah, I feel like it it pairs so well with Colossus as like the second song. I just think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely great. Can we talk about how hard the fucking chorus is to this song, though?
Yeah.
It's not even like hard in the sense of like you're listening to like a hardcore song or like some like fucking metal song or whatever, but it's just the intensity of how it's played and just the lyrics and the chorus, quote unquote, the line itself just sounds so fucking brutal, just repeating and the repeating and chanting of the lines concrete to leather.
Yeah.
The don't know what that means, but it sounds hard as fuck. Makes me want to punch a bloke in the mouth.
Yeah.
It's so fucking intense. Like I said, this song was my introduction to the band, and I was like, okay, if this is the kind of shit they're putting out, I need to listen to an entire record like now. So this song did a great job of just really reeling me in.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts you have on Never Fight a Man with a Perm?
I don't have thoughts about the song, but I just wanted to point out that the music video for this song is really brutal, and it's definitely something to worth. It's definitely worth a watch.
You know what? I've seen multiple videos of this song, and I don't think I've ever stumbled upon the actual music video. If you mind sending me a link to that, I would be so down to watch it.
Yeah, I can send that to you. I'll
The,
send
the
it to you
one
right
that
now.
I watched, I don't know if there's the one you're referring to, but I saw one of like them on stage at what appears to be like a community dance or like a wedding or something. And there's just like these couples of just like people dressed in like 50s period attire, and they're hardcore dancing to this song. And
Yeah.
it's not the studio version audio. It sounds like it's a live performance, like a KEXP type deal where like it's so
Yeah.
nice and tight and taken care and like well polished. But yeah, got the link. I'll watch it as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, the official one is it's animated and it looks like a fighting game, like like a Street Fighter type game. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah. So it's definitely worth a watch if you liked the track. Definitely watch the music video because somebody put a lot of work into it, and I really appreciate it whenever they do animated music videos.
Yeah, dude, I love a good. Did you ever watch the music video for Trash Talk Slander?
No.
The animation and the artwork is done by Jay Howell, who's the dude who drew the original sketches for Bob's Burgers. He's also
Ah,
an artist and animator for Sanjay and Craig on Nickelodeon.
yeah, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, he did the music video. And I don't know if you ever watched Sanjay and Craig. I don't know if it's still on because I don't have cable anymore. But he would always sneak in a model of Lee Spielman of Trash Talk in the background of like every episode. So
Nice.
that's pretty dope. I can talk animation all day, but we're here on a mission. We're here to
Yeah.
talk about how great this album is. Let's get into the next track, which is I'm Scum. I'm Scum. I have the thing right here. Okay, cool. How do you feel about this track, man? I'm Scum. What do you get out of it? How do you feel about it?
It's a solid song.
Is this
Yeah.
the first time you're not as stoked on a song?
No, I'm stoked on the song. I love I'm Scum. It's just I don't know how to put my hands on it but like the guitars are good and the drums are good. I just feel like this one's lacking a little bit in the lyrical section.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I do like the lyrics to this. I don't think there's a song in here where I don't enjoy the lyrics, but I do get kind of what you're saying. I feel like this song leans a little too heavy on sarcasm. Like, because if you've never heard the song, let's try to explain it to our viewers here. If you've never heard the song, it's basically saying like, "Oh, I'm scum," but then goes on to explain why he's scum, and it's all like good things. It's like, "Oh, I overtip my waiter," or I don't idolize James Bond because he's a fucking murderer."
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like how like wait, is this a song? Yeah. This song does have one of my favorite lines though, which is this snowflakes an avalanche. And that's a
Oh yeah.
that's another great quotable.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think this whole maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but I feel like the meaning of this song is just kind of like he's scum to you're kind of claiming that you're scum to conservative politicians or people who look down on more liberal or progressive members of society. So they would think of you as being scummy for not believing in their mantras, their beliefs. That's how I took it, and that's what made me appreciate this song lyrically.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way because I find myself staying along and wanting to live up to being scum. You know? This song made me want to be scummy.
Yeah.
At least in that regard. Anything else you want to add about I'm Scum?
No, I think that's about it. I love the track. It's not a bad track. It's just for some reason, at least personally, it kind of it's not a low, but it just lyrically there's more going on in the first two tracks than there is on I'm Scum, and then going on with the next track, it feels like it's kind of sandwiched in between two really good songs.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to segue into the next track, which I really wanted to talk about because especially in this moment in time, in this moment of like in this social climate, I think a song like this is necessary. Let's talk about Danny Nedelko. Danny Nedelko. I love this track.
I love this track so much.
So Let's sing its praises, man. Let's get into it. What are your thoughts on Danny Nadelko?
I love this track so much. Uh, it's such a good like it's such a good story. You know, talking about like immigrants and so on and so forth. Um, I believe there's a track on brutalism that's similar to the story, but going besides that, like the story of the track is great. Like it's talking about immigrants, so on and so forth. But the catchiness of the song, it is so catchy, and it just makes you want to like fist bump all day.
Hell yeah. Makes me want to angrily help at a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
You know. Um, we
And
got a
this,
comment from co-host Arnold, who he found a moment to let us know his thoughts. He says, "I love when Raymond says he loves songs because he means it." And you know what? That is very true.
yeah.
Sorry, continue with your thoughts on the song.
Well, I was gonna say that this is the song that's closest to oi punk.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm personally a huge fan of the genre. Uh, and yeah, this is it's just such a perfect song. I can talk about it all day, but yeah, it's a good song.
yeah. Hey, man. Well, I was gonna say it's just the two of us, so we can talk as long as we want about this one.
Yeah.
Uh, I yeah, no. It's. I think it's very interesting to me that this is the song that borrows the most from, as you mentioned, from oi punk. Because on the one hand, I understand because oi punk is a very working class oriented genre. It is a genre for the working man, the commoner, if you will. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's also very hard to separate oi punk from the less desirable members of the punk community that kind of co-opted it to a lot of white power bands are oi bands and stuff like that. So I feel like writing an oi punk-esque song about immigrants and unity, it's kind of like when the dude that created Pepe the Frog was trying to get it back from the alt-right.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a reclaiming of the genre in a sense. And I love that. I think that is a very cool thing to do because I think oi punk gets a bad rep because of a very loud minority of people who co-opted it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And, a lot of great lyrics in this track too. My Blood Brothers, Malala, talking about Malala Yousafzai, My Blood Brothers, Freddie Mercury, just kind of laying it out there who, no matter who anybody is and what walk of life they're from, we're all a family in a sense. And it's done in such a catchy way. This is sloganeering done right. Like this is a this should be the soundtrack to like every march ever from like moving forward, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I adored this song. My only thing about it, it's a lot of spelling in the bridge of the song.
Yeah.
um, I myself am not dyslexic, but I think it must really suck to be a dyslexic IDLES fan and then trying to sing along to this song. It's probably not a good time.
Yeah.
But that is a very, very, very minor complaint about an absolutely great song. This is a highlight for me.
Yeah.
Is it a highlight for you?
Yeah. It's definitely one of the high points of the album. Not saying that there's not more high points, but
Which there
Yeah.
definitely are.
Yeah, there is. But yeah, this is definitely the first real high point in the album.
Yeah, I would say the first 3 tracks really just kind of lead to this, you know.
Yeah.
And this is such a great song. I think I played this one on repeat, like maybe 2 or 3 times before I move on to the rest of the record. It's just that good. I don't want it to end when it's playing, you know.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Um, but let's get to the next track because yeah, like we both said, we could talk about this one forever.
Yeah.
Let's get into the next track, which I also happen to really enjoy. I don't know if this is the one you were talking about when you said a slower song. So let's find out. Let's talk about Love Song. Love Song. What are your thoughts on this track right here?
This wasn't the track that I was talking about, but it's definitely not one of my favorite tracks on the album. Although I do love most of it. My favorite thing about this track is this part. I really love you. I really love you. Look, this card I bought. It says I love you.
That's such a good line.
Yeah, for some reason it's just such a good line. Which it doesn't sound like it whenever I say it, but whenever you actually listen to the song, it's just like a very funny kind of like look at the way we express love to people nowadays, or most people do, where it's like, oh, I bought you this card that just says I love you on it, like take it as like this grand gesture or whatever. And yeah, I guess it's kind of like for the entire song, like it's just sort of, yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
It is a hard one to explain. I do like this idea of like a dissection of modern love and how, you know, how I it's not like the typical view of a toxic relationship, even though I do think this is a song about toxic love. It's
Yeah.
not saying like, oh, you know, like I'm gonna hit you, or I'm gonna, or you know, or you hit me, or things like that. But it is kind of like this whole thing of being incredibly codependent and incredibly obsessive over the person you're with. I think that hit me the most when you hear the lines, you give me power, you give me power, you're like a gun or a knife, be my wife.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a fucking bonkers line. But I can't help but sing along to it every time I hear that, you know?
Yeah.
It's such a crazy song. It's such a, yeah, it's like this idea of like love being insanity, and it does portray that in the best way possible. Even like when you get into the la 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 la, like there's like the la la la's at like
Yeah.
the end of the chorus, like everything fits so perfectly to depict this idea of like you're losing your mind because of this. There is such a thing as loving too much, I guess, and this song definitely makes a case for that. But it's still super fucking entertaining. You know, I can't stop listening to it. I actually really like this song.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the song too, but I don't know. For me, it's not a go-to song for me.
Understandable. I can see that, especially, you know, you've following Danny Nadelko. You know, it does get overshadowed, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow up Danny Nadelko.
So that being said, I think I know which is the song you were talking about, because I think we're getting into it. Let's talk about June. June. What are your thoughts on this one? You kind of told us a little bit.
No, yeah, this is the track or one of the tracks I was talking about. I don't know. I like this track. but it's always one that I find myself skipping.
Really?
Yeah.
That
I,
that was that was unexpected. Okay, carry on.
yeah, I don't know why. I guess it's because you kind of get like this really like hype from Danny Nadelko, and then Love Song is also like it does kind of slow down, but it's still kind of a fast song. And this is the problem I had with the one slow song that's on Brutalism, is like it's kind of like in the middle of like all these fast songs, and um it's just not necessarily like it's if this was later in, but the fact that it's right after, it's 2 songs away from Danny Nadelko, and then Samaritans or the next song is right after it. Just think it's a weird place to put it, and yeah, for some reason I just find myself skipping it. Although I do like the percussion in it. Um, the like very like loud drums with the like really like big echoes and so on and so forth. But other than that, it's the lyrics are good, or the lyrics are all right, but I don't know, just can't get into it.
Okay. Well, I think this is the first time that we're going to differ on opinions here. I think this is actually one of the highlights of the record for me. I do understand your point as to the placement of the song and being 2 tracks removed from Danny Nadelko, and the song that follows this song is arguably another one of the higher points on the record. But um, lyrically, this is probably the most impactful, the rawest, most in your face, emotional gut punch of the record.
Yeah,
And I find myself fascinated by that, and I think that's because last week's guest, Rena Gallegos, hit the nail on the head, saying, "I'm just a sad boy, so I like sad songs," and
yeah,
she might be right. But um, the lyrics to this song are so haunting. They do
yeah,
stay with you, even though they're so simple. There's not a lot going on. It's not like an essay type deal where like you're saying all these things. You're saying so much with so little, and yeah, it stays with you. And you see again in this song a common theme spread out throughout the album, which is the reappropriation of other quotes, be it from music, or in this case, was it like a who was the person that wrote this? Like, what's the story behind? Like, somebody was it? Fuck, who was it? I want to say it was Hemingway, but I'm not sure. Like the story that someone challenged him, like, "Oh, can you write a sad story in 6 words or less?" And the story ended up being "Baby shoes for sale, never worn." Was that Hemingway or who was that?
I'm not sure. Let
I
me,
think
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think it was. I might be. If you guys know in the comments, was that Hemingway or who was that? I know there's some literary viewers here that we have. Like, y'all read books.
Yeah, it was Hemingway.
It was Hemingway. Okay, yeah. So, you know, where we had already seen earlier in the album like a reappropriation of Nancy Sinatra, now we're getting this reappropriation of a Hemingway, quote unquote, short story, and being used to express the pain of losing a child, losing or giving birth to a stillborn child, and just it's used so effectively, just that is the outro to the song. That is the last thing that you hear are repeating this story, baby shoes for sale, never worn. It gets more and more and more intense every time he repeats it. And then, he stops and the song stops, and it just kind of, you know, leaves you there for a couple seconds just kind of thinking about what you just heard.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas Danny Nadelko was this, musical high, not just musical high in terms of musical quality, but it's like a musical high in the sense of like your energy levels. Like it gets you up. You're like, fuck yeah, I can take on the world because I listen to Danny Nadelko and I want to fight for equality and I'm gonna go join a protest or whatever. This is the complete and the complete opposite end of the spectrum. This is such a low point. Not musically. I think the quality of this song is amazing, but it's such an emotional low.
Yeah.
And for a band such as IDLES to be able to take you to both ends, it's just a testament to how good they are and how good of a songwriter Joe Talbot is. And I love the song. I showed this song to who was supposed to be our temporary guest host, Victoria Craddock. I sent her this song, and I was like, "Yo, like this is probably one of the saddest songs I ever heard." And she messaged me back just saying, like, "Dude, I felt so weird after that. Like, I don't know what to say about it because it's a powerful fucking song. I think it is a very powerful song." So, yeah, because of that, I feel like I might have to disagree with you, but I do agree with you in the placement. I feel like a lot of the times when we discuss records on this show, we realize that there's a lot of misplaced tracks on records.
Yeah.
Like they're put in a place where they can't succeed as much as they should. And I feel like, well, I don't feel like there's an example of that, but I guess just because I'm just so captivated by the song as a whole, but I can see how the placement of it could hurt it. How the placement of it could affect somebody else's listening experience of this song.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to add about June?
No, that's about it. I mean, I think I agree with you on most parts. Like, it's not necessarily a bad track, but yeah, I still stand by my thing that I feel like if it was later in the album, I would feel more into it. I guess Isolated, the songs is a really good track, but whenever I listen to it in the track listing, I just can't really find myself wanting to listen to. Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
Sure. So ready to move on to the next track?
Yeah.
All right, let's try to pick the mood back up a little bit. Next up, we've got Samaritans. We discussed this on your radio show, but let's talk about it some more here. How do you feel about this track?
I love this track. It's such a sort of like a fun song. Not really fun, but just like the sort of lyrics: man up, sit down, chin up, pipe down, socks up, don't cry, drink up, just lie. Just like the two words and for each line. It's just kind of like, how do I say it? A marching song? I don't know if that's a word I want to say.
Yeah, I have a hard time describing this one too.
Yeah. But it's just like, as far as like the lyrics and the actual like music goes, like it's just like this really kind of, like I said, I don't want to say fun, but it's like you kind of want to dance to it in a way, weirdly. And then just the lyrics itself, it's such a good, like, we talked about this a lot on the on my show, whenever we talked about the criticism of toxic masculinity, and like, I'm a real boy and I cry, I like myself and I want to try. It's just like such a good like critique of all that. And yeah. And then probably one of the best lines out of the track is, the mask of masculinity is a mask that's
The mask
wearing me.
wearing me. Yeah. It's so good. And it's so funny because I was thinking about how we were going to talk about this song today. And yesterday I got home from work and my stepdad was watching this documentary on Netflix about, the red pill and men's rights activists.
Yeah.
And we had to talk about all that and how, the idea of toxic masculinity, but how, the people in this documentary are blaming women and society for all that. And kind of like, I'm just like, I don't know if that's the case. I think it's a pressure that men put upon themselves. This is a very much a male created, male oriented thing that's killing men. This whole idea of like, man up, sit down, drink up, pipe down, like grow some balls. All of that is perfectly reflected on this song. And I remember talking about it on your show, how, my parents gave me shit for at the time having painted nails. I don't right now, but I probably will get them redone because I miss it. Look cool. And stuff like that. And how, kind of reflecting on the idea that for a lot of time, I remember, friends asking me if I was okay, if there was, if I was feeling okay. And I would constantly say no because, you're raised to say no and just kind of deal with it on your own. And then just realizing how like genuinely unhealthy that is and having to learning to be okay with feeling shit, having emotions and expressing them. And I love how this song takes aim at all of those ideas and just kind of puts them on their head. Again, that line you quoted, the mask of masculinity is a mask that's wearing me. It's such a perfect encapsulation of what that's actually like and what that feels like. And want to bring up another point here. There's another instance of lyrical reappropriation. This time, Katy Perry's "I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It." I love how how the song, like the bridge of this song, builds up to the lines. I kissed a boy and I liked it. Just screams so defiantly, so proudly, and I remember you named the episode of your radio show that I was on. You did. I kissed a boy and I liked it. And I have family on Facebook, and you don't know how many people from my family, especially family in Nuevo Laredo and Mexico, other areas of Mexico, just messaging me being like, "Hey, what's that all about?" Funniest thing is that I chose not to respond, and I was like, "Well, interpret that how y'all want." And so that was. Thank you for giving me that. You threw that moment right on my lap. But all in all, I love this track. Definitely one of my favorites. I think it's a song, everyone should listen to, and it's a messaging that everyone should get behind, especially men should kind of take the ideas expressed in this song into consideration, I would say.
Yeah.
You have anything else to add about Samaritans?
Nope.
No? Okay, let's get into the next track, which is another banger. I think this album is full of bangers. Let's talk about Television. Television. How do you feel about this track, man?
This is one of my favorite tracks. Mostly because the message of the song is like something I should really follow, but I don't really do it. And it's basically to love yourself, which is literally one of the lyrics, or like half of the lyrics is just like love yourself, whatever. But it's just it's such like an aggressive way of saying like you better fucking love yourself, or
yeah, like the opening lyrics to the song are, if someone spoke to you the way you do to you, I'd put their teeth through. Love yourself. And that's it's such an aggressive way of saying like, yo, love yourself or I'll knock your fucking teeth out.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I love this track because, like I said, like it's definitely something I should listen to. But I obviously don't. But but other than that, this is like it's like a fun song, and it's you know, it's just it's just such a in your face song, and I just love how like aggressively positive it is. It's just hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love the aggressive positivity of the track. I love how it's like a denouncement of, like these unobtainable beauty standards in the world. I love the line, I spoke to God in a dream last night. She said I'd get to heaven if my teeth were white. And I
Yeah,
love how he says she. I love
yeah,
this whole idea of God being a woman because whether he believes it or not, that's up for debate. But I feel, and I don't think anyone can make me not believe this. I feel like Joe Talbot made the conscious choice of saying that to keep pissing off conservatives.
yeah,
You know, in the middle of all this positivity, he's like, let me twist the knife into these motherfuckers and just, tell them God is a woman. And I love this song. I think I have a hard time also sticking to the ideals of this song, the whole thing about loving yourself,
yeah,
regardless of what you're like. It's hard for me too, but fuck, do I believe it when I'm hearing it? You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
It's such a song that would easily pick up somebody's day if they listen to it.
100%. I listen to this song while I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, yo, I'm hot as fuck.
Yeah.
I unbutton another button on my shirt, just like, let's show some skin today, boys.
Yeah.
Let's love ourselves. So, absolute banger of a song. I love it. And I love how it's placed right after Samaritans because, like, you have this song about, railing against toxic masculinity and this whole idea of not allowing yourself to really feel much of anything. You just have to be a man and work and, fucking work yourself to death. So you're hearing a song saying, like, no, don't do that. Also, it's cool to feel pretty, so
Yeah.
perfect 1-2 punch of self-confidence. I feel like this song, these two songs together are definitely a good combo for like a quick little mental health pick me up. That being said, this is not a fucking replacement for therapy. If you're going through some gnarly shit, don't just listen to these two songs, go get help. But
Yeah.
if you're just having an off day, just blast these two tracks and it'll probably pick you right up.
For sure.
Any other thoughts on television?
No. That should be it.
Okay, let's get to the next track. I don't know if I have too many thoughts on it, so I want to hear what you have to say. Let's get into Great. Great. How do you feel about Great?
I like this song a lot, but it's not it's not like anything necessarily like it's just a fun song to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the chorus where they just spell out Great. I don't know why I'm bad at spelling right now.
Again, this is a terrible song for dyslexic IDLES fans.
Yeah. No, but it's a fun song to like sing and all that. Which is how I rate my music is if the song's singable.
Perfect rating system, if you ask me.
Yeah. But as far as like the lyrics go, it's not very heavy on like anything specific. I believe maybe I'm just not, getting into it enough, but even like reading the lyrics, like there are obviously lyrics that besides, spelling out great,
Yeah.
but
It'd be funny if that was all it said for like 3 minutes. Is the
yeah,
spelling of great. I feel like that would probably make the song stand out more for me if
yeah,
that's what it was.
but yeah, what is it? I'm from reading the lyrics, it just seems like it's about conservatives in the UK that want their country back, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's again another anti-xenophobia, anti-racist,
Yeah,
which is it's good. You can never have too many songs that are anti-racism. But
yeah,
I feel like my biggest complaint about this song, it's a fun song, but I feel like everything this song sets out to do was already done and significantly better on Danny Nadelko.
yeah. That's what I. Yeah, yeah,
It's another oi punk or punk inspired song that's anti-racist, anti-xenophobia. There's fucking spelling in it too. It's like a song written with the same formula, but it was already done better as Danny Nadelko. If Danny Nadelko wasn't on this album and this was the sole song following that formula on this album, then you know what? Fuck yeah. I think I would like this song a little more.
yeah,
But you have Danny Nadelko to compare it to, which again does pretty much literally the same thing. I think both songs serve the same purpose.
yeah, for sure.
And Danny Nadelko did it better. So I think that's my opinion. I don't know if that's something you would agree with.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, there you go. I think neither of
Yeah,
us have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm
yeah.
really
There's not much to talk about. Like it's a good catchy song, but other than that, it's just like there's not much to talk about.
100%. But that being said, I'm really, really excited to get into this next track because
Yeah,
this one kind of fucking knocked me on my ass when I heard it. Let's talk about Gram Rock. Gram Rock. How do you feel about this track, dude?
I love this track. This is one of my favorites.
Fuck yeah.
Best line. Bada bada bing, I'm the king. It's it. I don't even know what this song necessarily means. Like, I don't think there's a meaning behind it. It's just,
Yeah, no, I don't think this one has a meaning to it.
yeah. But it's just such a fun. Like, this is peak Idols. Like, if you were to or not necessarily peak Idols, but if you were to condense the energy of Idols, this is the peak of what the energy represents. Like, it's just catchy, it's energetic, it's in your face.
It's so gritty, so grimy of a song.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Yeah. Just the opening. What was the opening line? Like, I'm sorry, your granddad's dead. I scored a win. Bada bing. I'm the king.
yeah,
It's like, what the fuck even is that? And that's how you
yeah,
this song. It's awesome. It's so chaotic. Again, like you said, the energy of Idols distilled into one song. It would probably be this.
yeah,
I know that this song is great because I am so annoyed by Harry Potter and Harry Potter references because that's like the only book anyone's ever read.
yeah,
But I'll sing along to Joe Talbot just screaming out 10 points to Gryffindor
yeah,
for like the last half of the song. It's just it's peak absurdity. It's a very absurd song in the
yeah. And then I like the final lyrics, and then my boy fucked Tom Hiddleston's stylist.
it's such a wild fucking song.
Yeah.
I remember first hearing it and just kind of taking off my headphones and being like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck even is this? I guess I got so like the rest of the album left me so unprepared for this because every other song serves some sort of purpose, be it a social or political purpose, or in the case of June, being very personal. But every song had a meaning. Every song had a clear point to make, right? And that's what I was expecting the rest of the album to be. And then comes this fucking song just barreling through.
Yeah.
Bada bada bing, I'm the king. And then just being the grimiest, sleaziest piece of fucking post-punk I've ever heard.
Yeah. It's such a great track. I can't say enough good things about it.
This song definitely gets you hyped. Whereas songs like Danny Nadelko gets you psyched for political activism and change, or songs like Samaritan or Television get you hyped up for self-love and self-care. This song gets me hyped up to go rob a Waffle House. And there's not even one in my area. Like, I'll drive to Louisiana and rob a Waffle House when I'm listening to this fucking song. Like, just makes me want to get into some sleazy ass situations.
Yeah.
Just fucking wild. I love it. Please look this song up. Anybody watching this.
Yeah, it's definitely a song you need to listen to.
Yeah, 100%. Anything else you want to add about Gramrock?
Nah, I couldn't say anything else better about it.
Also, I don't know. I just realized. I think I realized this. I don't know if I'm right about this, but I love how it's called Gram Rock and it's so sleazy and fucking dirty, and it's just one letter removed from glam rock.
Yeah.
With, very clean on the surface, but the lifestyle of most glam rock artists was also very fucking sleazy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that was intentional. Probably. These guys are clever as fuck. But then also, I feel like nothing about this song is intentional. Like, I think this is just, a fucking tornado in a bottle.
Yeah.
Pure, unadulterated chaos. So who knows? But I love it.
Yeah.
I love the track.
Same.
So that being said, let's get into the next track on the record. Let's talk about Cry to Me. This one's confusing for me. So I want to hear what you have to say.
This is another one of the tracks that I mentioned in the beginning where it was kind of like a slower song that I didn't really get into. Although I do like this track, it's not necessarily one of my favorites, and I often do find myself skipping this track too. But what I will say is if June was put after this song, I feel like I would be more into June track wise, but I feel like that would be the perfect point, because the next song after this is the total opposite. Then we'll get into that once we talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find myself skipping this track. It's not necessarily a low, but I feel like the lead singer, his vocals are pretty good in it. Whenever he's saying, cry to me. But yeah, other than that, it's not a high point for me.
Yeah, this song is so confusing to me. First of all, it's so weird that they took this detour musically, because I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if you hear it, but I feel like there's like a big blues feel to this song.
Yeah.
which I think is like uncharted territory for IDLES. And I'm not, I mean, it's like you said, it's not a bad song in any means, but I don't know if I needed a blues song from IDLES, you know? I think it's just like, yeah, it's a 12 bar blues with a shit ton of reverb and distortion added to it. I feel like if you take those elements away, this doesn't feel like an idol song. Lyrically, again, it does touch up on the motifs of like male vulnerability, like, hey, talk about your feelings, cry to me, don't bottle things up. But if my complaint about Great was that uh Danny Nadelko did it better, I feel
Yeah.
like this song, at least lyrical wise, like the lyrical motifs of the song were already explored and handled better on Samaritans.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it is an interesting. At the very least, this song is sonically different
Yeah.
from Samaritans, and
Well,
yeah,
since you mentioned that it is different, it's actually a cover.
is it?
Yeah.
Huh? I did not know that. I learned something new today.
Yeah, it's actually a cover of a Solomon Burke song. Same name. Then yeah, it's same song. So
Okay, that's interesting.
that
Yeah,
kind of explains what you meant by. I don't think it's necessarily a blues song. I guess it would be considered blues. But yeah.
okay. Well, yeah, that kind of makes me look at it in a different light. That's kind of cool. I was very, very much unaware of this song being a cover.
Yeah. So that would kind of explain why it feels so different. But yeah, I haven't heard the original song, so I have no take on whether the original is better than Idol's version. Like I said, it's not a bad track, and the song's good, but for some reason it just feels it feels out of place, and I feel like if June was after it, then it would complement the track more, and it would be like this nice low point in the album. Not low as in quality, but low as in like
Yeah.
speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a solid track. It's just not anything to. It's no Gram Rock.
Yeah. The chaos that is Graham Rock is just so fucking great. But yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Well, knowing that the song is a cover does kind of change my view on it. I would like to hear the original. I guess I'll look it up.
yeah,
But okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, this song was always so confounding to me just because it's so not an idol song, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. But let's get into the closing track. We made it through the album. Let's talk about Rottweiler. Rottweiler. How do you feel about it?
I do love this song.
And
It's
like when you say you love something, you mean it.
yes. Um, yeah, it's another one of those songs that's super fast paced. Um, I feel like it's the same thing as Gram Rock in a way, but just not as fun. Like there's not really any meaning to the song. It's just one of those songs that tries to encapsulate idols at their best.
Yeah.
Uh, or idols energy at their best.
Titles.
Yeah. But it's a perfect like close off to the song. I mean to the album. And I think the chorus is really good, even though it's just repeating Rottweiler, over and over. But it's such a fun song to sing to, and going back to my rating system, it insanely singable.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a really good track. I mean, I wouldn't say it's better than Gram Rock, but it's definitely in the same vein as a Graham Rock. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
Okay, yeah, I do think it is a so okay. Um, I say this every time we do an episode of the show. I'm a huge stickler for album openers and album closers. I think
Yeah,
this is the first time on this show that I'm gonna say this album closes a little bit weaker than it opens. Because Colossus is a fucking epic opener. Rottweiler is a
yeah,
lot of fun, but does it do a good job of tying the album together? Not really.
yeah. I would
But
agree with that.
but at the same time, I do feel like I don't think this album was supposed to end very cleanly. You know, you're putting a super chaotic track at the end of it. It's supposed to be, it's not supposed to be a clean landing. It's supposed to be messy. It's supposed to
Yeah,
be, you know, uh, kind of like have this rough around the edges feel. And, it is fun to sing along to. I do find myself screaming out Rottweiler in the car every time the song comes on.
yeah,
So I love the track. I do love it. I wish I had more thoughts on it, but I really don't. I don't think there's a lot to dissect here from a lyrical standpoint, a musical standpoint, because this song wasn't really meant to be more than just pure fun, and it gets the job done. That's what it was meant to be. That's what it is. So I dig it. That's kind of all I can say.
yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. It's a fun song, but yeah, it's just maybe switching Graham Rock and Rottweiler would be a better choice.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I would definitely agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, I would probably say that. That would be a better closer. But overall, I agree with what you said that it's not like a very it closes weaker than it opens. I agree with that. Um, but overall, yeah, I find it to be a solid song. I just feel like I don't want the album to end. I mean, I don't want the album to end in general, but whenever I listen to this song, I definitely don't want the album to end. Um,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
It's such a great ride of an album. And also, yeah, like the ending point isn't that great. Like I'd want there to be a big epic closer at like in the vein of Colossus. But yeah, man, I love the ride though. It's a great ride of an album.
yeah.
Uh, now that we've gone through every single track on Joyous and Active Resistance, uh, let's get into final thoughts and ratings. Final thoughts and ratings. What are your final thoughts on the record, and what would you give it out of any rating scale you want? You can go 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100. You can get super weird with it. Go 1 out of 4. Like whatever you're feeling.
Um, well, overall, like I said, I think it's a solid album. Um, I want to compare it a little bit to Brutalism, which I think I might have enjoyed more. I still question it to this day, but I love Brutalism. That's how I got started with IDLES. Um, but overall, I feel like it's this really good album with little low points. I mean, I wouldn't even call them low points, but yeah. Um, if I were to rate it, I'd say probably an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that. I don't think there's ever really a low point on this record. I think the closest I get to a low point would probably be "Cry to Me," but that's not even
Yeah,
their song. It's a cover, so I
yeah,
can give that. And I do wish the album closed as strongly as it began. So that is another kind of thing that I doesn't necessarily hurt the album, but I just think would make it better. So yeah, I just wish it had a stronger closing.
Yeah.
But that's really my only, complaint. So I think I would give this record, my rating would be 9 out of 10 points to Gryffindor,
Nice.
or 9 boys that I kissed and I liked it out of 10 to,
Nice.
to go with with the themes of the album.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I love this record. I can't sing its praises enough. We said at the beginning of the show here that we like to um, dissect albums and figure out why they are, or why we believe them to be significant and important records in the general musical landscape or just in society in general. And I think we kind of hit the nail on the head. The social political commentary on this album is still very much what's the word I'm looking for? It's still very much necessary now as it was 2 years ago. So, what do you think? What do you think makes this album significant? Now that we've
Uh,
got here, like all the tracks.
I think it's mostly the just like the statement it says. Um, it's just that deals with so much political and not only political but personal stuff. Like we mentioned, like Danny Nadelko is a political thing, um, and then we go on with what was it, Television Samaritans, which is very like love yourself, be true to yourself. Don't let anybody tell you anything differently. Like these are all that we deal with, especially right now. Um, and yeah, it's just a great album to kind of listen to and be reflect on. Um, and yeah, I think the personal thing that I like the most is kind of like the revision of Oi Punk, which, as we mentioned before, used to be about anti-fascism, which is a big thing that's coming up again recently. So yeah, I just think it's very important.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I think we both said this. The social political commentary on the album is still very much as necessary now as it was back then. I love how Danny Nadelko reappropriates Oi Punk, who, as we've mentioned before, was somewhat hijacked by, like the wrong people. Like it became, like kind of like the go-to medium for skinhead punk bands or, white power bands. And, this is an album taking that back and, giving it back to the original intent of being, anti-fascism and all that. So great album. I think it's a timeless album. I think anybody out there who's putting in the good fight for just equality and just social change could find something to grab onto on this album, and something to energize them and lift them up and um, remind them kind of what they're fighting for. And if you're not into that whole political deal, then just listen to fucking glam rock and go wild, bro. Like,
Yeah,
there's a little bit of something for everybody on this fucking record. And yeah, I think we kind of hit the nail on the head on this one.
yeah.
All right, so we already went through the album. We gave it our ratings. We've I think we got to the bottom of the significance of this record. So to kind of round things out here, let's land this plane. Let's get into plugs. Raymond, anything you want to plug? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Right now I just have 2 radio shows that I like to plug. Uh, so I'm actually working on the logo for one of them right now. Um, So I have Acid Wax, which is a radio show / podcast, which is also a musical retrospective, but it goes more. It does less of an album dive and more of tracks in an album that mean something to our guests. So, like we had Francisco on, and we talked about this album,
Yeah.
and we talked about what the tracks mean to him more than the actual uh you know what, rather than it going looking at the tracks objectively and being like, oh, the music's good and so on and so forth. So it's a little different than this show. um and you can listen to that on KZSM on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. And then I have The Big Sad, which is also on KZSM at 6 p.m., which is just a show overall about my mental health. And then we have our new show that I'd like to bring out, called Die Alone. Yeah,
Sounds fun. Can
that
you
was
hear
a fun
about
one.
what that's going to be about?
I don't know what it's about yet. We've done one episode and it's been pretty fun. Uh, so we're hoping to put out more episodes soon. That'll be every Thursday at 10 a.m. So it's kind of like a morning show. Um, and other than that, you can catch me soon. I'll probably be putting out some new tracks. Um, I haven't decided what my name's gonna be, but I'll put it out eventually. I've been thinking about Life of George.
Life of George. I'm just
Yeah.
imagining like the Kanye West Life of Pablo cover, but just figures of George Costanza.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna do.
That sounds great. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if he should be the Life of George, and also if you have any Photoshop skills, mock up an album cover. We'll send them all to Raymond.
Yeah. I actually do have an album cover. I'll send it to you so you can put it on your page.
Dude, for sure. Let's do
Yeah.
that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to hear your music. I'm excited to hear your shows. Before we went on, we were talking about potentially reuniting for Acid Wax. So hopefully that goes through. It was a lot of fun when I got to
Hopefully.
do it. Our good friend and Aliens on the Border podcast co-host Roger Ramirez also did an episode of Acid Wax. So
Yeah.
thank you for having us on. Kind of letting Laredo be heard outside of Laredo.
Yeah, for sure. I always love having the Laredo guys here.
So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do that again soon. As for me, plugs, this show, Hindsight 2020, a musical retrospective. Every Sunday we try to we try to record anywhere from 7:30 to 8 a.m. I mean 8 p.m. So be on the lookout around those times for us to get started. And every Thursday we are gonna bring back our side shows. If Raymond, if you want to be a part of those, I think next week, actually this week, we're going to do an interview, hopefully, with Lex Chapa, local R&B artist, put out a single a couple weeks ago. It's fucking great. I will link to it so y'all can check it out. And next week's
Nice.
episode, we are going to be discussing Arnold's choice of a record. Arnold being, my co-host half the time, most of the time. We're going to be talking about Error Zone by Vane. So we're going to get pretty heavy on that record, on that episode. So stick around for that. We might be making an Instagram page. So if we do, we'll link you guys to that. So what are we going to post there? I have no fucking clue. We're kind of winging it, making it up as we go along. But whatever it is, we'll try to make it fun for you guys. Thank you so much for watching us today. Thank you so much, Raymond, for being on today and
No problem.
having a fun conversation about a really fun album, a great album. And hopefully we get you on more episodes, man. You and Gabe, I do kind of want to get the Acid Wax duo together.
Yeah.
So let's make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And well, until then, we will see you guys next time. We'll see you guys on Thursdays and Sundays. Thank y'all for watching. Stay safe, and we love you. Bye.
Bye.